channel today, and we are doing a brand new Sims 4 speed build today. And so today is definitely going to be a really great day, just because I'm excited to say that I haven't built in Windenburg in so long that I thought it was a good time to start building in my save file once again, but this time build a Tudor styled family home. But this one is very different from the many that I've done in the past for Windenburg, because when I was initially building this, I only had in mind of a single level home. So it's a 2-story, 3-bedroom, 3-bathroom family home. And so I built this on stream a couple weeks ago, and a lot of you guys gave me suggestions on what should be in this build, who should live here, and how I can do things with it. And I really love all your suggestions, and I love them all, and I took them into consideration. And a bunch of you guys actually said that maybe a single parent should live here with their 2 kids, a toddler and a regular child, or a teenager that should live here. The parent is a artist, not a freelance artist, but a regular artist who is working side along some of the residents in Windenburg that are very high prestige, like the Fry family or the Bjornson family. One of those 2 families that have a very high prestige, wealthy income that could help alongside a local of Windenburg and give them, work that they could do to provide for their homes. And that's what this artist does, the single parent does. They make paintings for a living for the residents of Windenburg, and also they own their own little shop in the local square of Windenburg, and it's like a very nice little art gallery / cafe that I'm going to be building for one of the community lots for my save file in Windenburg. And I'm not going to be using Get to Work for that build, just because I felt like I want to keep my save file all base game and their dedicated packs. So this build is only base game and Get Together. And if you guys only have base game and Get Together, then this build is definitely for you. Or technically, Willow Creek, Oasis Springs, and Newcrest and Windenburg is definitely for you, because for my save file, in case you didn't know, I am going to be making every single world base game and their dedicated pack. So whatever world came with, that pack is going to be just base game and that pack. So like Sulani is going to be base game and island living. So you might see some repeated objects, but now that we have this brand new update from the patch update a couple weeks ago or a couple days ago, last week probably. Anyway, in that update, we actually got over 1,000 items for build and buy. And I'm so excited for that, because I now have more creativity, more creative freedom to build whatever I want without restrictions, because some of those have base game items and Get Together items, and that I could use in this save file to make it more personalized and more different and more unique, and change how I do my builds. And so now that I have that, it's going to be great building in every world, especially the base game worlds, because I feel like I've strayed away from the 50 by 50 or the park or those lots like that, the bigger lots, because knowing me, I would literally fill an entire park with plants and only plants. And if I ever did a mansion build, it would take me forever to do it, because I'm only using base game. But now that we have extra items that I can use for that build, it'll be much easier for me, because the more cluttered items that I have, the more fun it is for me to build, to make a very unique non-base game but base game home. And I like how you gave me I'm like how you guys gave me some comments on Instagram and also on Twitter, and also the comments down below, pretty much everywhere, that you guys love my base game homes because they don't look base game even though they are base game. And I love those comments so much, because I really try my best to put a lot of work in my builds, especially my base game builds, so they don't look base game, where they look actually decent and not crazy looking like the EA builds. Don't get me wrong, the EA builds are aesthetically pleasing on the outside, but the inside they're a little bit empty, so they need some work. They need some desperate work. And I was here long, it's let's make a save file. Let's change everything that EA did and make it my own. And so here I am today doing that said thing. But this time, in Windenburg. And I'm going to be building a Victorian home next in Forgotten Hollow, because one of you guys actually suggested for me to build a Victorian home in my save file, only using base game and the vampire game pack. And I felt like that was kind of weird because I cannot build a Victorian home to save my life, but I am willing to try. So I'm going to be doing some research for the next couple of days to see what I can actually do and figure out how to do that Victorian styled roof. Because roofing is so hard to do. Like, you have no idea. You think I'm good at roofing, but no, I am not. So that's why I kind of cut out some of the build in this video, because it took me a while to get everything where I wanted it to be. And also the roofing was struggling. I was struggling with the roofing so much that I was like, let's just take that roofing out and skip on to the furnishing style. Because, you know, it took me 5.5 hours to build this house, and it was like taking too long for me to edit. And it was too long of a video. Like, I was not going to sit here and record a 45-minute voiceover because I can't talk that long. And when I talk longer and longer, it starts to get rambly. And I hate rambling so much. So I'm working on my voiceovers. I'm working on my speech and everything to slow down and, you know, be in the moment and see what I can really do. But when I was actually building this portion of the build and onward was actually the time where, oh snap. So I just realized I'm looking at my recording. So the beginning of the clip when I was building the exterior, I actually built that on May 22nd, 2019. And then when I got into the interior of the build, where there's a wallpaper where the stairs were, until like onward to the end of the video, I literally started furnishing this build on what is it? July 20th, 2019. So it took me 2 months to build this house because I built the exterior, the shell of the house, forgot about it, and I'm like, wait a minute, I have this entire build that I didn't finish. I should probably finish it and upload it. So yeah, 2 months to build, but only 5 hours of footage that I have collectively. So you're welcome. Because I think during that time I was like rushing through a bunch of stuff, and I think well back in May, because I just had finished my junior year of university, and I was like moving from my dorm back home and moving things back, like my whole entire computer setup and my whole entire like everything, my room. It was a lot going on for me during that time. So I had to fix everything, and I was having internet issues. So I was fixing things that were broken, and now it's fixed. 2 months later, I'm all good, all fine and dandy, and I feel more rejuvenated and refreshed now that I have my things that I need. But I don't know. I just have to say, living in a dorm was like honestly the best experience, but also the worst experience, because I'm not fit to live with somebody else that's not my family. Like, I was basically living with a stranger for like 9 months of my life. And it didn't feel like it was 9 months. Like, you're in university and you live in a dorm and you do all this like schooling and homework, and you have like a job outside of school, and it just all is just a blur. And that was me. I was sitting in my dorm room, like just recording as normal. But when I first got there, I felt like so timid and so quiet. Like, I couldn't record and I couldn't do anything. And like, YouTube's like kind of like my livelihood and like my part-time job. And I'm like, I can't record like this. I have to do something about this. So I was like, you know what? I don't care. It's my living space. I can do whatever I want. I can record however I want and just do the things I'm supposed to do. And I was like, this mentality needs to stop. So I thought to myself, you know what? I'm going to be living here for the next 9 months of my life, for my junior year of university. Might as well make the best of it and think it's like my home. And I just talked normal, and I just gradually got louder and louder and louder, which was not a good thing because I had a tendency of recording at 2 a.m. when everyone was asleep, which was not a good idea. I didn't get any complaints, which is a great thing for me, but I don't know. Me living in a dorm was just not a good idea. a good idea, but a bad idea because I hate small spaces and I was like not really in my zone and I felt like kind of weird and I just didn't feel like myself. So I felt better moving back home, my own space. I have a separate office now, and so it feels good. So I have everything in the right place for me to like work, where how I can do all my things. So if you guys are ever gonna live in a dorm or in an apartment when you go to school, by all means, get the bigger room while you can, because when you get a bigger room, you have more space, you don't feel claustrophobic, you can do basically whatever you want. And that's what I did. I mean, technically, I lived in an apartment and the rooms were the exact same size, but mine was like a little bit bigger because I was able to organize all my stuff and move things around however I wanted. So it looked a lot bigger than the other room that my other roommate lived in. And I'm like, I feel good because it was my room and I could do whatever I wanted and I made it my own. But being a YouTuber and a streamer and getting packages every now and then was was something I did not consider, like did not think about, because I get sent packages a lot and I order a lot of things off of Amazon for like YouTube and like I use the housing office as my PO box. That was literally the worst idea never. If you're a YouTuber and you like have a PO box and you get sent stuff, never use the housing office for your PO box, because that was a big mistake on my part, because I was like, "Oh, I'll just give, these companies my, you know, my my university housing office address as my PO box to send me stuff." Worst idea ever, because I had so much stuff to unbox and a lot of things to like explain. Worst idea. Never doing that ever again. So I'm getting a PO box soon, and so I can actually have so people don't get mad at me every 5 seconds for saying, "Why do you have all this stuff? What are you doing?" And having to explain that I do YouTube for a living was very awkward and very weird, because most of the time, back in the day when I first started YouTube and I started like getting traction and income and stuff, and family members like to ask like, "What do you do every single day and why are you always in your room all the time?" And I'm like, "I do YouTube for a living and I play The Sims." I'm like, huh. Like some people in my family and some people like in my life don't understand the concept of YouTube and how I make income on YouTube and how I do things and how I get sent to these places. And I'm like, it's hard because it's like a thing that I just don't want to explain, because it's a very like interesting topic that is not a normal thing, like a normal job. So people are just like to hate and like also like to question things because they just don't understand. So it's whatever. I'm fine. It's something that I have to get used to a lot more often. And you would think after 5 years, I don't know, after 8 years of doing YouTube, you would think I would, be more comfortable talking about YouTube and what I do. And like, granted, I am comfortable talking about it, but then like people who like to hate and just hate in general, who just don't understand and have to explain to them what I do, it's like kind of difficult because you don't want to talk about it to the people that you hate about or you hate. It's a weird thing, but a cool thing at the same time. Yeah, it's fun. So, as of right now, I am gonna be pushing, like, giving it my all this year because it's my last year of university, and I want to make it the best that it can be by pumping out as many videos as possible and making them very high quality and not rushing through it all. So like I have an upload schedule that I posted on my community tab a couple weeks ago of when I'm gonna upload. Haven't stuck with that lately because school and work was like a lot was happening during that time, so I kind of fell off that track of my upload schedule. But this time I have a very more structured like custom like content calendar that I just made online, and I'm like planning out all my videos that I want to do, like my Q&A video and like some other special little upcoming videos that I have planned out and some other collabs. So I'm really excited for that and some upcoming trips before I go back to school in like 4 weeks. And so it's going to be interesting for me to like sit down and pre-record a bunch of videos. And I actually have to pre-record 30 videos in the next 4 weeks, which is going to be interesting. So you're going to hear a lot of rambling and a lot of like the same topics. But I did say a couple weeks ago, or no, a couple months ago, I'm pretty sure it was last month, or actually back in May, I made a tweet that be prepared for some ranty, some ranty videos, voiceovers about me living in a dorm and like how my junior year went in university. So be prepared for that for the next 4 weeks because it's going to be quite a wild ride. Just letting you know now, because it's something where I ramble so much, where I like to talk about different topics and not about the build. Maybe that's why I can't stay on one topic, because I rant so much, which is so weird. And I realize that whenever I talk, it just gradually gets very more repetitive, I guess. And I don't know what to talk about in the speed build because I don't talk about the build because I find it kind of boring and eh. So this is what I'll do. I put all my thoughts out there for people to listen to so they can understand my frustration sometimes. So this is what I'll do for the next 4 weeks, and I'm going to stick with it. I'll talk about the build in the very beginning, and then I'll have a little segment saying, on to the next segment. I talk about, the story of the build, and then the last part of the video, I rant. So, structured story rant. A structured story rant. Wait a minute. That actually kind of works. I love that. A structured story rant is going to be my new topic of every single speed build. Oh, it's going to be a great time for the next 4 weeks of my life. Oh, it's going to be great. I'm excited now. I'm really, really pumped. So, like I said, for this build, I wanted to make sure that this build was, 1, family orientated, 2, something that your Sims could live in for a very long time, and 3, something that is not too big but not too small, but like a medium-sized home where you can renovate however you want. Granted, when I did first build this, it was going to be a single-story home and not this extravagant and big, and I was so tempted to move into a 40 by 30 lot. And no, you all know me. When I go to like a size up for a lot size, it becomes more extreme and more crazy, and I use literally every single space, every nook and cranny of the lot to fill it up to its best of my ability. So that's what I did with this build. I literally used every nook and cranny. I covered every corner, dotted my I's, crossed my T's, and did all the things because I, for one, feel like this is going to be a great build for you guys to like utilize. Like, you got your painting easel, you got some gardening downstairs, you got a nice Don't Wake the Llama game off the balcony on the back side of the build, on the second floor, off, coming from one of the kids' rooms. So where the balcony is at, I had in mind of a teenager actually, or a kid utilizing that room, because I wanted to make sure that this build had some type of family aspects to it where it kept kids, being kids. And that's why I kind of made that room more of very minimal, not too much, not too little, but it has like, their toy box and like their bed and like their computer. And I did utilize one of the laptops that came with Space Game, which I'm pretty sure I put a regular computer and desktop in the parents' bedroom and put a laptop in the kids' bedroom, but the toddler's bedroom is like bed, chess table, a little blarfy bear, and that's pretty much it in that toddler's bedroom. But I felt like, the kids needed something to do. That's why I wanted to have like a kid and a toddler with their toys and with their Don't Wake the Llama game. Plus, evidently, in the future, whenever I finish the save file, which will hopefully be the end of the year, that's my goal, is that I want to make sure that this specific family has, some history to them, where I want to make sure that this family can keep this house for years and years to come, where they can, keep it how it is, keep its historical value. And that's what I want to keep Windenburg. Very historical, very family orientated. So there will be some generational families that have at least 3 or 4 generations in their family tree where, it's a very historical world where it's very European, and that's kind of what my mindset is of Windenburg. Very historical, very family orientated, and just very, generational, to keep it in the family, basically. So this particular family is going to have at least 3 or 4 generations, actually. I haven't really made all the families yet, but in my mind, I want to have at least 4 generations for this family, where the kids are in the 5th generation, actually. So it's like you have the descendants from the very top, and then their kids, and then their kids, like the 3rd generation is like the grandparents. And so we'll have, like, a bit of different levels. I'm not sure how extreme the family tree will be for each and every household that I'm going with. I don't want to make it too extreme where it's to the point where it's like complicated, where you don't know where everyone lives, but you know where they come from. So there will be some households where, like, brothers and sisters, like 3 siblings, and then they have like 3 of their kids, like, okay, so like 3 siblings and then their kids. So it's like 3 different family trees separate, and then they have their marriages, and then their kids, and like their divorces and their divorcees, and like, I don't know. I feel like I make these families more complicated even then they aren't, but they are. So it's gonna be kind of hard for me to like really make these family storylines come together. And it's going to be very interesting how I'm going to do this all, because I actually kicked out one of the families that actually lived here. So I think it was called the Free Spirit family. Ulrich and then that other person that lived there, I kicked them out because I'm like, don't live here. This is a family house. This is not your house, but a family house. But they still live in the world, but they don't live in a home. So you'll see the regular EA townies, and I will give them makeovers so they don't look as crazy. So they'll be decent enough to walk around in the world for your eyes to see. And then other families will live in their home lots, if that makes any sense. So basically keeping it in the family. But I do have ideas for my next speed build, which will be a Victorian home in Forgotten Hollow, because one of you guys actually commented on one of my other speed builds a while back ago, that I should build a Victorian home in Forgotten Hollow that is only using base game and for vampire. So that's what I'm gonna do, and it's gonna be very interesting. And I just realized, I'm looking at my screenshots, and the railing for the fence on the 2nd floor is white instead of black to match the railing, and that kind of irks me. So I'm gonna have to go into my game and fix that before I upload to the gallery today, so you guys can watch it. And I think you're watching this on what's day? Oh, I'm recording this voiceover on a Wednesday, on the 31st of July. And so you're watching this video on the 2nd of August. So you're watching this on a Friday, but I'm recording this on a Wednesday. So this should be very interesting. Yeah. So if you guys have any suggestions at all for more speed builds that you want to see on the channel, let me know in the comments below. And also, if you have a Twitter or Instagram, tweet me some pictures of some references you want me to look at and build off of, or just Instagram DM me some photos of some houses or some little architectural styles that you like to see in the save file, and kind of give me a backstory too. So a backstory and some pictures would definitely help me to get a general idea of the builds you want to see in the save file, because basically this is going to be your save file that you guys can play in and do however you want. And if you get to see your builds that I built off of your suggestions, it'll make the save file more worthwhile. But yeah, so evidently I'm just really, really excited to see how well this goes, and how far I can take this. So you all know that I love building and I love clutter. This will be one of my most favorite save files that I'll ever get to play in, because I'm making a Sims 2 save file, and that one's really, really cool. But I think for the Sims 4 save file, where I'm doing both Sims 2 and Sims 4, I'm kind of giving getting, different storylines where I can like incorporate some Sims 2 storylines with some Sims 4, where like I could look back in the past. That works. I mean, okay, I literally got a new idea. So what if my Sims 2 save file, I make like these family trees, like the families from the past, like their families, and then like recreate the Sims 2 families in the Sims 4 with their kids. So like kind of like the two save files coincide together, but in different eras. Oh, that's gonna be so cool because I literally have one family that is already 5 generations long in The Sims 2. So I'm gonna end up having in one of these neighborhoods. I'm not sure just yet. Let me know in the comments below, where should that family live? Because I want to have at least one family. It's gonna be literally one family that will literally have 10 generations. It's gonna be a long shot, but there will be one family in this one save file that will have 10 generations. But the twist is that literally 8 of the generations will be dead. So that's gonna be probably redundant, but I love the storyline and I love the structure of it. So yeah, one family will have 10 generations, but only 2 of the generations will be living. So like the parents and then the kids, and however you want to, divide it up however you want. So it should be interesting how far I can take this, because I'm going to have to recreate 8 generations and kill them all, and then basically keep the 2 generations still living. So I probably should get on that now before I, continue on building their house and their homes, because there's gonna be a couple of houses with that family living in those particular houses in different worlds. So that's kind of like my general idea of what I want to do, and also for this house, which is gonna have at least 4 generations in total. And yeah, I'm really excited. I hope you guys really liked and enjoyed this build, and kind of hearing my thought process of like what's going through my brain right now and what I'm really doing for the save file. So yeah, this is pretty much it. But I hope you guys actually enjoyed this speed build. Please go ahead and let me know down in the comments below of what do you thought of the speed build, my thought process, my new ideas, my structured story rant idea, because I think that's kind of a fun idea where I can like talk about the build, tell the story of the build, and then rant for the rest of the speed build, which I think would be kind of a good idea. But that's pretty much it. But either way, like I said again, I hope you guys enjoyed it. Please go ahead and give me your thoughts and suggestions down below in the comments below, even on Twitter and Instagram. And I will see you guys all in the very next video. Bye!
Yesterday, there was sun and there was rain, beauty in the mundane. And as the light startled our eyes, we let go of disguise. And now, there's something in the air, and a sparkly shimmer on our skin, restoring everything within. Oh, dreamy, breezy we go, easy, easy on our tiptoes, undercover agents of the other, beyond gravel, beyond all. Hand in hand, building castles out of sand, reaching for